Hi guys, how are you all? This is FJ What If. Today we are going to discuss about what if Naruto was king of Shaman and had Spirit of Fire Part 4. Before we start the episode, please like and subscribe my channel. Chapter 4. Making a name. A 9-year-old Naruto nodded respectfully to passing merchant as he casually made his way to the Hokage Tower for a meeting with the Sandaime. It has been a year and a half since his status as a shaman was spread throughout the village. There were quite a few who were skeptical about the whole thing, being the container of the Kyuubi didn't help his popularity, but it was easily remedied when he allowed the spirits of their relatives to possess him and telling them things that he shouldn't know. His clan house was finished in 2 days after finding the clearing in the S-class sector in Training Ground 44. Tenzo could have finished it in a day thanks to Naruto supplying him with energy using his innate knowledge of Chosenji Ryukatsu, but Naruto was adamant that he take a rest. Besides, he was planning to set up a permanent barrier around the clearing and he wasn't comfortable doing so in front of a crowd. They might not be shamans, but they were shinobi. They were trained to be observant, and Naruto had no plans broadcasting his techniques to the world. He also set up a path so anyone can go to his new home without getting eaten by the predators. He made a map for the Hokage and dogs since they were more than welcome to visit anytime they wished. When his new home was finished, Tenzo happily made a few furniture for him since the place was too large and too empty to ignore. Tables, beds, and cabinets were immediately created and the Anbu team was commandeered by the Hokage to bring them into the house. Naruto made a few hundred shikigamas to help. If the small leaf spirits were strong enough to tackle the denizens of the forest, then they were strong enough to carry furniture. While the Anbu team was busy being interior decorators, the Sandaime took Naruto to a shop in the village that didn't hate Naruto's guts. He financed Naruto to get started with his new library since the newly awakened shaman wanted to transcribe his knowledge into paper as soon as possible. If a new shaman pops up, then he would definitely need books to keep them educated. After all, he didn't want to coddle them by spoon-feeding them information. If they want to be powerful shamans, then they would have to work for it. Anyway, Naruto bought a lot of blank scrolls and books, boxes of inks and spare brushes, blank tags used for fuinjutsu but could be used as futa since it was of exceptional quality, and some blank papers for his notes and whatnot. He also bought clothes since he wanted something more refined. He bought a set of formal kimonos for special functions, casual pants and shirts for traveling, and a custom-made silver poncho. He saw in his memory that how looked cool wearing a poncho, so he definitely needed to have one. They exited the store with Naruto already wearing his new poncho. The blonde shaman dragged the Hokage to the nearest bookstore for basic books on chakra. When questioned why he needed such books, Naruto answered that he wanted to know how different chakra was with spiritual energy. After all, the students he take in might want to be shinobi shamans in the future. At least he could explain the two energies to his students if it happens. When the shopping was done, Naruto created a few shikigamas to bring the purchases to his new home. He was inwardly smug at seeing the disbelieving looks from the villagers when they saw his shikigamas floating behind him like a funeral procession, carrying bags and boxes without a care in the world. However, he found it weird to see looks of amazement and disbelief from the villagers compared to the usual glares of hatred or disgust. With his clan house done, secluded himself in his home 2 months since he was busy making his divination tools from scratch and putting the Asakura shamanic knowledge in his head to paper. It took 6 months to finish everything, but it was a worthwhile chore. Another 2 months was spent rediscovering his abilities using the knowledge his ancestors crammed into his head. Thankfully, he had Hao's entire lexicon of Chosenji Ryukatsu in his head to supplement the other Asakura techniques and abilities. Not only did it make him stronger, it made his techniques more potent. His shamanic abilities were stronger than ever, but his physical skill sucks. He knew from his memories that Asakura Hao was a great taijutsu master on top of his omnudo. Naruto had the knowledge, but actual practice was non-existent. Such was the case, Naruto spent 4 months training his body to accommodate Hao's complicated taijutsu style, the Seireikan or the elemental spirit fist. With his physical training at a level he could be happy with, Naruto exited his home for the first time in 8 months to meet with his surrogate grandfather. The Sandaime also compiled a list of jobs for him to do which served 2 purposes. 1. It would broadcast his abilities as a shaman, thus eliminating the doubts hanging in the air. And 2. To jumpstart the Asakura coffers since he practically owned the Hokage some money after that shopping stint. Naruto didn't mind the work since he was bored and he wanted to use his shaman abilities to cement his status in the village. Most of his first jobs were for the shinobi military, specifically those who had unfinished business with their dead friends and relatives. His first session was with Dog, who requested his services to contact his sensei, the Yondaime Hokage, Rin, and Obito from the other side. This was partially successful. He easily contacted Rin and allowed her to possess his body so Kakashi could apologize for killing her. The Yondaime couldn't be contacted since the seal he used against the Kyuubi ensured that he would be eaten by the Shinigami, and there was no way for Naruto to directly coerce the Avatar of Death to relinquish his hold on such his soul. Yes, Naruto already knew of the Kyuubi sealed inside him since some of the shinobi who died during the Kyuubi attack told him about it, much to the Sandaime's consternation. However, the shocker came when he told Dog that Obito was alive since he couldn't find a trace of the man in the afterlife. Dog thanked him profusely and was paid an A-rank mission for this. Thanks to Dog, his abilities were spread throughout the shinobi ranks and he had quite a lot of clients wanting to get in touch with their loved ones. In a span of 4 months, Naruto now had a bank account with millions of ryo to jumpstart his holdings. He also had a few projects sponsored directly by the Hokage. The jobs include blessing farmlands for better crops. Konoha had a surplus of agricultural products since that year and was now exporting to the outlying villages, exorcising spirits who knew that Konoha had a lot of them, and erecting a barrier around the village to stop evil spirits from entering the village. Speaking of evil spirits, Naruto was somewhat shocked to discover that the elemental nations were plagued with mysterious happenings that were spiritual in origin. They were relatively ignored since such happenings were blamed on shinobi and their jutsus. This led to a crash course about recognizing spirits to the shinobi ranks so they could report such problems in the future, and for Naruto to act on such reports so he could get rid of the problem before they grow out of control. The last big job was at Fire Country capital. He was contracted by the Fire Daimyo to erect a barrier around the palace since a lot of weird things were happening. Naruto easily found the problem. Spirits of the past advisors were hanging around making a mess of things. Even in death, politicians never leave their seat of power. He exorcised the spirits and erected a barrier around the daimyo's home to stop the spirits hanging around the capital from tormenting him and his family. He was paid quite handsomely for that job, and Naruto wouldn't mind doing it again if given a chance. It didn't take him long to get to his destination, and his gut was screaming at him that something was about to happen on a grand scale. The spirits were restless and he picked up on their anxiety easily. He entered the aged leader's office to see him poring over a report with a worried frown on his face. "Good afternoon, Gigi." Naruto greeted the Hokage with a nod before sitting on a chair in front of the leader's desk. "Thank you for coming on such short notice, Naruto-kun, but I need your services over something that concerns the village," the Sandaime said seriously, causing Naruto to frown. "I sensed something large is about to happen, but I don't know what." "What seems to be the problem, Gigi?" "I want you to divine what the Uchiha are planning," the aged leader requested seriously. What did the Uchiha do now?" Naruto asked in exasperation. He never did like the Uchiha that he dubbed as the Red-Eyed Bastards. Quite a few of them had their Sharingan active as he performed some of his basic techniques in the public. He smugly smirked at them since he knew there was no way for them to copy it no matter how much they tried. "I am receiving reports from my spy within their ranks that they are planning something big. So far, my spy hasn't been able to get exact details other than the fact that they are holding clan meetings more frequently than usual." "That's disturbing." Naruto frowned, taking out his tessin from his sleeve and opening it easily with a casual flick of his wrist. He fanned himself slowly, a habit he acquired when he was thinking something deep, his eyes glazing as he spread his mind to converse with the spirits in the surrounding area. Sarutobi was silent as he watched his grandson go into a trance. He recognized the glazed look on the boy's eyes, an indication that he was currently conversing with whatever spirits within range. It was 15 minutes later that Naruto exited his meditation with a large frown on his face, which alarmed the Hokage since he knew that the revelation would be nothing but bad news. "Bad news, Gigi," warned Naruto as he snapped his tessin close in agitation and a hint of anger. "What did you divine?" Sarutobi asked immediately. "The Uchiha are planning a coup. Right now, your spy, a weasel-masked Anbu, is on his way here after killing an Uchiha when he was found out, a best friend I believe. He will be appearing in 5 seconds. said Naruto as he turned his head to his side. As predicted, Weasel appeared in a puff of smoke and leaves, kneeling in front of the Hokage. Hokage-sama, I bring you. He stopped when he noticed Naruto looking at him seriously. Asakura-sama, I didn't know you were here. Naruto simply nodded to the Anbu before turning to the Hokage. I'll be leaving, Gigi. I think Weasel would be more informative in this regard than I do, though I am quite sure that his report would complement what I told you before he arrived. Naruto told the worried Hokage before turning to Weasel, who was feeling determined and resigned as if a decision has been made and there was nothing he could do about it. Weasel-san, for what you are about to do, please know that someone here in Konoha wouldn't look at you in hate. If you need my help, let the Hokage know. He will direct you to me. With a bow of respect towards the two, Naruto stood up from his chair and exited the office without a word. It's quite creepy when he does that, said Weasel with a shiver. He knew for a fact that the shaman's eyes were looking deep into his soul. His words were cryptic, but it filled him with courage and determination for what lay ahead. If anything else, a shaman to help him in the future was a boon that he wouldn't pass up if needed. What do you expect from a shaman? The Sandaime asked rhetorically before his eyes took on a steely glint. Report. Weasel gave his report, each words weighing heavily on the Hokage. It would seem that Naruto was right. The Uchiha was definitely planning a coup, and it would start with an assassination attempt. Him and the elders were the initial target. He listened attentively to Weasel's information when he remembered what Naruto said to the kneeling Anbu. For what you are about to do, please know that someone here in Konoha wouldn't look at you in hate. The Sandaime Hokage sighed. Trust the boy to give hints about the future. Yes, it was true that prophecy and divining the future was a tricky subject, but the aged leader knew that spirits tend to share some information to the boy since he was quite likable. It didn't help that Naruto was a powerful shaman that made spirits respect him more. I am calling in the elders. I already know what to do, but it is always a good idea to have a second opinion, declared the Sandaime before sending off Weasel to bring the elders to his office. I think I'll bring Danzo into this. Root would be a big help in quelling the repercussions if things continue as it is. Naruto watched the massacre unfold from his perch on top of a large tree in the Uchiha district. Weasel, or Uchiha Itachi, was killing his clan. He could feel the adamantine determination and resignation that gripped Itachi's heart as he spilled the blood of his family, targeting both the guilty and innocent with brutal efficiency. The lone Asakura knew the sacrifice Itachi was doing for the sake of the village. Naruto understood the price the Hokage, the elders, and Itachi has to pay for upsetting the balance. Thousands of voices, both innocent and judged, cried out to the shaman as if expecting for him to act. He didn't heed the voice since this was a necessity to save more lives. If the Uchiha had their way, Konoha would become a haven of death and destruction, and if push comes to shove, Naruto would burn the village to the ground before the Uchiha arrogance could take root. No, Naruto would have none of that, so he didn't go against what was happening right now in front of him. The massacre would continue with his blessings. Naruto already sent his GF into the compound, devouring the souls of the perpetrators while sparing the innocent. Of course, he had to cloak his GF in an invisibility spell of house design so his part in the massacre would stay in secret. He face saddened when he saw Itachi subject his brother to the powerful genjutsu his evolved Sharingan granted him, resulting in his brother screaming before slumping to the ground like a puppet without its strings. A lone tear escaped Itachi's eyes as he finished casting the Tsukiyomi on his brother. He was about to exit the compound and start his life as a missing nin when he felt eyes settle on him. He looked up to see the blonde shaman he grew to respect give him a sad smile before nodding in understanding, Naruto's words echoing in his mind as if reassuring him that he did the right thing. For whatever you are about to do, please know that someone here in Konoha wouldn't look at you in hate. Thank you, Asakura-sama, whispered Itachi. Despite the distance, he knew that the shaman heard it. Please watch over my brother in my stead. Itachi saw Naruto nod before sprinting out of the compound to his new life outside the village walls, a rogue, a killer, a traitor. His heart didn't waver though, since he knew that someone he trusted believed in his innocence and sacrifice for his beloved Konoha. The Uchiha massacre, as the village dubbed it, was brutal, and he was immediately called to the scene to determine who killed them. Of course, he made a show of doing something since he didn't need to rely on his abilities to reveal the identity of the killer. After listening to the wails of the villagers for the loss of such a powerful clan, Naruto proceeded to walk through the compound, ignoring the carnage around him. He listened to the spirits and sent some of them to the afterlife. Others decided to stay and watch over Sasuke, being the sole survivor, mostly aunts and uncles who didn't have a hand in the coup. Naruto sighed as he sent the last spirit to the afterlife before turning to see a sad Hokage walking towards him. "How are you holding up, Gigi?" Naruto asked his surrogate grandfather. He knew the old man was the one who ordered the massacre. It was a hard decision, but he had to do it. There was no way out of it since peaceful negotiations wouldn't be able to penetrate Uchiha Fugaku's arrogance. Burdened, Naruto-kun. This was a decision that I had to make, choosing the lesser of two evils for the village. The Sandaime said sadly as Naruto nodded in understanding. The spirits of the dead didn't blame you, Gigi. In fact, quite a lot of them understood yours and Itachi's sacrifice. Even if they don't blame me, I still blame myself, Naruto-kun. Time heals all wounds, old man. Naruto advised the man with a smile on his face. How is Sasuke? He is currently at the hospital. I don't know why Itachi subjected him to such a nightmare, but I know he has his reasons. As it stands, the boy is in a coma, his mind horribly damaged by a powerful genjutsu. Inoichi tried to fix the damage, but he can only do so much without destroying the boy's future. The aged leader informed him with a frown. Is there a way for you to help him? Naruto shook his head. There is, but it is not a good idea. I can easily wipe out his memories of the massacre, but that would be detrimental to his mental stability. If he wants to grow and become a great man, then he need to face his demons head on. Naruto told the aged leader with a seriousness that didn't reflect his age. He is just a kid, Naruto-kun. The Sandaime pointed out. Yes, he is 2 years younger than me, but that doesn't stop the fact that he is still a boy who has a responsibility to his dead clan. It is now up to him to bring back the Uchiha without his father tainting the new generation. In order to do that, he needs to face his past in order to pave the way for the brighter future. Naruto said seriously, making the Hokage nod in understanding. Fine, but please keep an eye on him. I promised Itachi that I would. Naruto said before making his way out of the compound. The Furioku in the air was making him dizzy. He sighed tiredly. This place is going to need a thorough cleansing. Why do you say that? Asked Sarutobi curiously. The spiritual energy in the air is so thick that it would attract demons in droves. I already told you that a demon is created when an area is saturated in negative emotions with Furioku to back it up. To counter that, I will cleanse the area of any negative energies and erect a barrier. If I leave it be, we are going to have a demon infestation in our hands. Will Sasuke be staying here in the compound? That's his choice. I am already assigning a few Anbu to clean the place up. It should take a day or two to get it done. If he wants to stay here, then I'll assigning a few Anbu to keep an eye on him, possibly on a suicide watch since the boy's psyche was seriously damaged. Said Sarutobi as he shook his head in disbelief. That's a good idea. Who knows what a kid his age would do after being subjected to such a horrible experience. Naruto agreed before pulling out a small wooden tile from the sleeve of his blue kimono. I tagged Itachi's signature. If you need to find him in the future, this tile will lead you to him. Keep it hidden and only use it when necessary. Why do you say that? Asked the Sandaime as he accepted the tile. He felt Itachi's chakra signature on the item, as well as something else. Holding it gave him the urge to go east. I don't know why, but something is going to happen in the future and Itachi is going to play a pivotal role in its success. Call it a divination of sorts, but this is mostly my gut instinct talking. Naruto said with smirk, causing the Hokage to laugh. I'll take your word for it, my boy. On his perch on top of an electric pole, a 12-year-old Naruto watched Sasuke attend his 4th year in the Shinobi Academy. After the massacre, the last, loyal, Uchiha of the Konoha did a complete 180. He was now a brooding boy who declared himself an avenger, intent on gaining power at any cost to avenge his clan. His mission in life was to defeat Itachi. Of course, due to his promise, Naruto tried to salvage whatever childhood Sasuke had, but it was impossible at this point. The boy's anger and hatred over his brother was absolute, and there was nothing he could do short of altering the boy's mind could change it. No, he wouldn't change Sasuke since that wouldn't really do anything. He would give the boy a chance. If he betrays the village, then he would have a pissed off shaman after his guts. Promise to Itachi be damned. Sighing, Naruto made his way to the Hokage's office to get started with his plans. He's been cooped up in the village for 6 years now, and he needed to broaden his horizons if he wanted to become an effective shaman. There was more to the world than his memories of his ancestors, and he wanted to experience it firsthand. He knocked on the door to the Hokage's office before entering. He saw the old man poring over the documents pertaining to who knows what. Good afternoon, Gigi. I was wondering if you have time to talk, asked Naruto before taking a seat when the Sandaime beckoned him to do so. I always have time for you, Naruto-kun. What do you want to talk about? Said the Sandaime as he pushed the paper aside and giving his surrogate grandson his undivided attention. I was wondering if you could grant me some travel rights for 1 year. Naruto told the surprised Hokage. You want to travel? What for? As a shaman, I need to learn of the world and connect with the different spirits in the land. Of course, shamans are born wanderers, allowing the spirits to guide their steps to whatever destination they deemed important. In my case, I just want a year to travel and see the sights and immerse myself in the different cultures of the elemental nations, explained Naruto as he tapped his temple. Besides, the geography has greatly changed, so I definitely want to experience the world's new geography firsthand. I guess there's no harm in that. The Sandaime shrugged. Despite his age, he knew for a fact that Naruto could easily take care of himself and had no problems letting the boy roam around. Would you give in to this old man's peace of mind to take an Anbu guard with you? Naruto laughed before shaking his head in negative. I don't think so, Gigi. I need to do this alone if I really want to get the most out of this trip. Fine, said the Hokage before pulling out a scroll from his drawer. He read the content before affixing his signature along with his seal. He rolled it up before handing it over to the shaman, who took it curiously. That is an ambassador-level travel pass. It will allow you to enter any village with my authority and blessing. That is valid until this time next year. I hope that is enough since I can't do anything more. This is more than enough, Gigi. Naruto said happily. Where are you off to first? The old man asked curiously, wanting to know what the boy's travel plans were. I'm not really sure, but I'll make my way to Wave Country first before making my way to the now destroyed Uchiha. Naruto said with a hint of sadness in his voice that made the aged leader's heart clench. He already told the boy of his parents' identity years ago, as well as some stories of his mother's homeland, the now destroyed Uchiha no Sato. Why do you want to go there? It's nothing but ruins. For a normal human, but for a shaman, there is more there than meets the eye. The reason why I want to visit my mother's homeland is to see it firsthand, not just visualizing it from your stories, and possibly converse with a few spirits there if they haven't moved on to the afterlife. Naruto said sadly. He already knew who his parents were since the Hokage was quite forward with the information after the aged leader deemed him strong enough to guard the secret. Iwa and Kumo would have a conniption fit if they learned that the Yondaime Hokage has a son and a shaman to boot. I understand. Sarutobi nodded. When will you be leaving? I'll just need to return home and pack my bags. I'll be out of the village in an hour or two, Naruto declared with excitement. Then I guess all I can say is good luck and stay safe, Naruto-kun. He told the blonde, who was grinning like a loon. Thanks, old man. See you in a year. End of chapter 4.